let's try this again. Let's hope that wasn't on camera. Hello, y'all. We're going to pop this chat thing up here and say we're going to start soon. And I'm going to hope to wait for at least one person to pop into the chat. I can see it right there. I'm pointing to this side, but it's actually looking like I'm pointing that way. You always got to experiment these things and figure them out. Tell you the truth. I'm a truthful character. It doesn't matter. That light's in the way. I love it how the light kind of makes me look like an angel, but that's never gonna work. While we're waiting for someone to come in, I got my signs box here. Oops. And we've got some stuff hidden underneath. Some really cool techniques that I've seen people talk about a number of times, but I've yet to see being done. And I figured out a way around the one thing that has been challenging my mind about all the people who've been talking about doing this technique. It didn't work in my mind the way they were explaining it, and I figured out my own way around it. And I'm not going to hide it from you. I'm going to share it with you because I fancy myself a teacher. If that's what you want to call it. Well, I share whatever I got to people out there. I got a really cool email last night. What does that do for you? Nothing? Well, it's the start of something. Still nobody here. Still gonna entertain you with that little story. I gotta read you some anonymous feedback that I received last night. Let's just get in there and do that because one of the channels having a problem getting in. What's going on? Looks like we've got a issue that I've got to reset some permissions for the main channel where everybody watches. So everybody else who's watching, we'll see you in a few. I'm being a bad moon rising. We're gonna try to get this stream set up. Try number 3's the ticket, as they say. Ooh, we got some green lights happening where I want to see them. Okay. Right on. Happening. Well, let's get this action going. So, my name is Ron Pare. You're watching me on a number of channels, or you could be watching me on one of many channels. Okay, looks like we're all set up. Killer. So we're streaming out to 5 channels. We're streaming out to Daily Motion, Vaughn Live.
Ron,
What?
you locked the bathroom door.
Okay. That doesn't work. That's how you screw things up. I was trying to figure out how to keep her out, and she figured it out. Dang! I can't win for losing. No, just kidding. I was screwed up, which is pretty common. So we've got Vaughn Live TV, Daily Motion, Twitch.tv, and 2 YouTube channels. So if you're chatting from any of those devices or places, chat away. It'll come through in the multi-chat, and we'll see it right on the video, right there, just like that. Now, while we're getting started, I want to get a couple of viewers to come in here. We've got 2 viewers already. This is Kick Butt. Once we get to... I'm going to quickly read a little bit of feedback I got last night from an anonymous fan. I'm just going to share that with you because it felt really good. It's a, when you get pieces of feedback like this, it makes everything worth it. Let me tell you. It says, "Hi Ron, I have a bit of a story for you, so please bear with me. After much procrastination, I finally purchased my first wood laser kit. ITLA kits. DV Ross Building, followed by Cooper's Alley. I did a bit of online research before Cooper's Alley, and that was how I found your fantastic videos. I have now tuned into a couple of your live casts and am listening to one as I type this. You have played a big part in getting me to start wood kits, and your videos and live casts have been extremely helpful to me. That's why I do this. I get an email like that maybe once a month. Even if it happened once a year, I'd still want to continue doing this because that makes everything worth it to me. Also brings me to the point of I keep on looking over here because the microphone's right there. We'll put this up so you can see the microphone. I gotta look at the right screen because I'm a dip. So this is my microphone. I keep on looking over at it. That's why I'm looking over the side. I keep on forgetting there's a camera right there though. Just getting started, don't worry. So we're gonna keep the starting soon sign up while I talk about another little story. I started this streaming thing on Sunday because I was about 35 subscribers away from 1,000. I had it figured that if I went out and streamed for a couple hours every day, I'd probably be able to get to 1,000 in no time. Now, like I already said, I do these videos because of emails like the one I just read you. However, the effect of doing live streaming has taken it. I've seen 4 people subscribe, but instead of being at 965 subscribers, I am down to 952. You're going the wrong way. Just saying. Anyways, let's get this thing started and see if we can lose a couple more, shall we? Now, I had some really good news happen today. I can't share it with you. That's great. That's pretty typical. Someone says, "Oh, I got great news, can't share it with you." That's great. Pretty cool. I'm going to move this camera out of the way a little bit. Get it in front of the computer. Got a nice workspace here to work with, and tonight we're going to work with signs. Except we're not going to use really the signs that I've got in this container, and I've got a collection of signs from over the years. These JL Innovative signs are pretty happening. Oh, let's get over here and figure out who told us. Who told us? We got requested to do this topic today, and that was from Walter Miles. And thank you, Walter, for the request. I spent 4 hours today making a couple of videos, each 12 minutes a piece. It's amazing how long it takes to do these videos. Especially, I'm used to doing these little 2-hour video things where it takes me about an hour to edit it into the thing, and about an hour to it renders. So the computer is useless for an hour. And I'm used to doing those every once in a while. And I've done 2 already today, and I'm going to do another 2-hour stream. The wife thinks I am crazy. But anyways, I digress. Thank you, Walter, for the request. Here is the best show I can provide to you. Signs 101. We're going to address these old signs. However, I'm not going to start with these old signs. You know why? Because signs like this have been around since the 70s. And there's all kinds of information about it. And if we get to this at the end of the show, that's the fluff. And that'll mean that I did a full show. I'm going to start with stuff that doesn't get often talked about or shown on a regular basis. For some of you, this might be the first time you see this stuff. And I'm going to talk about what do we got first? What do we got? Oh, I got the videos. I already told you. That makes it easy. Doesn't it? Where did I put that? Well, how about we just do the video? We'll start this whole show off right by doing the video with the cricket. Earlier today, I went about to make some recordings demonstrating the abilities and well, I kind of glossed over the inabilities of the cricket cutter. I just wanted to demonstrate how that's not really a glamorous shot of my mouth. It might even be able to do my dentistry from it. But if my sound is too loud, there's 5 of you in the chat. Please tell me anything about the audio or video problems, and I'll work on that on the fly. And if you've got any questions, ask them. If you're from a far off land other than London, Ontario, or even if you're from London, Ontario, tell us where you're from. Chime in. Be a part of the chat. Because this is going to get interesting. Tell me if the audio's too loud or not loud enough. Please. And thank you. How I quickly make some... Went about to make some recordings demonstrating the abilities and... well, I kind of glossed over the inabilities of the cricket cutter. I just wanted to demonstrate how I quickly make sign masks or cutout lettering for signs itself. And last night during our live stream chat, I was talking to David Heinstein. I think I got your name right, buddy. Spark, aka Sparky107107, and I got his name wrong once in a video, and you know, after a beer, I really I let the scruples go, and I called him Hoff instead. So it's kind of a little joke that Dave really doesn't like, and I just keep on plugging into him. I don't know, seems to be my way of keeping patrons around. Thanks for the support, Dave. Honest to God. So we're gonna make this little sign Hoff's Hangout. Now the first step to creating your sign is you want to have your real world dimensions. Most programs will allow you to put real world dimensions in them so that you can work and make your graphics or signage, in this case, the proper size without mucking around looking for pixels and finding out how big they are anyways. So I sat down and measured the actual signs I'm going to replace on the K&W Butterco kit. And now my ruler is a little rusty and it's really hard to see, and I only have one tripod. Oh, God, I've got so many complaints, man. We measured out the signs after the fact. You know, in hindsight, I should have done this before. I sanded off all the rust from my metal ruler, and then all of a sudden you can see the numbers in little divots, which is, hindsight's 100%, is it not? So anyways, my sign is 4 1/4 inches by 1/2 inch. I measured the other sign too, but we're only gonna deal with Hoff's Hangout right now. After getting those dimensions, I was able to go over to the computer and set up my Cricut design space. Now, caveat, I haven't tried another die cutter. However, the Cricut cutter is good and bad in different ways. Number one, it has a proprietary design software that you use over the internet, and that's good in some cases because you don't have to purchase a software and figure it all out. All these softwares are just a wee bit different, and sometimes you need to have a technical mind to play with them. And you know, I'm not really arsed to figuring all these things out all the time. That's not my jive. I don't like to learn and learn and learn and learn. I like to produce and produce and produce and produce. So my biggest gripe with the Cricut cutter is that they try to nickel and dime you. You want to buy a font? $4.99. $4.99 for a font? That's ridiculous. On my computer, I have a number of fonts I like to use for making title screens on my YouTube videos. And you can go out there and find free fonts. It's actually a little bit of a challenge. You've got to keep your eyes open. I would rarely ever suggest you getting a multi-font pack, because within those packs are usually shareware or malware, some kind of virus hidden somewhere. But if you download the actual font files themselves, I think they're called a .ttc or something. I could be wrong. Oh, I should research this stuff beforehand. But you know, you buy or you download the free fonts that you like, and only download the file itself. Don't download lots of files, because you know, often they you know, that's how unwarranted software gets thrown into your system is when you download stuff like that without checking it first. Then there is ways to check it. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to inform you. So I've got my fonts. I'm using Sequoia Pro, I believe. I'm voiceovering. I'm doing the voiceover after the fact. And the thing is that in the design suite of Cricut, you pick system fonts instead of Cricut fonts. And then the system fonts will go into your font folder and give you access to all the fonts that you have on your computer. So if you've downloaded a certain kind of font for your perfect little sign, it'll be there. Now I'm going to put in Hoff's Hangout, and then I'm going to size it on the grid pattern to 4 1/4 inches. Now I see that the height is just a little bit taller than a 1/2 inch, but I don't really care about that. I've got about at least 5/8, so it's probably going to be pretty good, and if I have a problem, I'll cut the lettering down just a wee bit. After we've got our lettering size to the proper size, we want to put a nice heavy card onto the what is it called? The sticky sheet that holds the card, and then it gets cut. Really scientific terms there for you. Love it. I bet you love it too. Start shaking your head. I'm shaking my head. So I seem to have misplaced my spray glue that I like to use. My spray glue is a little bit too strong, though, to tell you the truth. You can buy a proprietary Cricut glue to reapply to these mats, but my mat is about 2 years old now, and I have worked out the glue, so I gotta keep my hand on the mat itself to keep the paper from shifting around. And it's no big deal because there's a little bit of a stick on the mat, and just holding it down just a wee bit with my hand will keep it in place while it cuts out. After the sheet has been cut out, we'll pull it from the mat, and as you can see, the letters yank right out. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, you got to be able to think outside the box for lettering. So my first technique that I'm going to show you today is painting using the sheet as a mask. Now, it's really hard to learn how to do this without screwing up a few times. So please consider experimenting. I always tell you that. I know all the extra steps Ron tells me to do. What a prick. He's a prick. I know, I'm a prick. But do it. Because you want to learn the techniques of where it's going to mess up. Number one, if you use a brush with too much paint, the paint's going to ride underneath your mask and your letters aren't going to have crisp edges. So I like to use a sponge, and I like to dab off the majority of the paint so it doesn't ride underneath my mask. Number two, there is no number two. Oh yeah, last night I did this with another video using a spray can. And if you're going to do a spray can, make sure you are spraying 90 degrees to the sheet itself. If you're doing it on a 45, the paint will ride up under your mask once again, and to give you a little bit of a shadow around the edge. No more crisp lines. But if you do it 90 degrees, you do a real light coat, you know what I mean? You know what that means? You know what that means? That means just hit it real lightly. You don't want to put a lot of paint on your mask, and it'll come out nice and crisp. Beautiful. But that's not the only thing that you can do. You can use the letters that that are cut out, the inner letters, and they could be 3D relief letters coming up off your backing board. And another nifty trick would be to go back to the Cricut and cut letters that are just slightly smaller, maybe 4-inch. Instead of doing 4 1/4 inch, do 4-inch, and then your cutouts for your second set of letters will fit nicely right in the letters that you cut before, the bigger ones, so that you'll have two different colors. Maybe the backing color is a nice brown, and the four letters are a nice yellow ochre or something like that. Wouldn't that stand out nicely on our green building? But I digress. There's so many other ways to make signs, and this video is finished. This is just one of them. Now, I suggest that if you have any friends around you who have die cutters other than a Cricut cutter, that you go talk to them and see how they like their device, because you know, you can use programs like Inkscape, which is a totally free program, vector program that'll work great with these devices. And then actually, it will work with a Cricut if you know how to fandangle it. I've never bothered doing it because I've got some real nice fonts that I like to use all the time, and the Cricut just gets to them, and I'm a low fuss kind of guy, if you know what I mean. So let's get back to the live stream. This is my first demonstration. This is my first demonstration of a die cutter sign work. Next we're going to I don't know what we're gonna do next. We'll just see what happens, shall we? Do you know what's not hot? Is saying that you did a perfect transition and then you forget to turn on your microphone. That's hot. I'll bet you it looked funny. I'm going to come back. I never come back and look at these videos, but I'm going to come back and look at that fail. Oh. Hey, Billy. How you doing? Hey, Ron Brights. Sparky. We got you up in lights. So that was our first video. Thank you again, Walter. We're going to thank you all night tonight, Walter, because you're the person who brought the topic on for the show. I don't really like the whole halo look. Let's well, did something. So, that was the first video. We've got we made a couple of things here. This is the next piece that I made. Now, I made this in a free program, and we're going to show you how I made this, which is a whole bunch harder to see, but they all say Hoff's Hangout. This one says Bar and Grill at the bottom, and this is printed on tissue paper. Now we're going to save this video for a couple of seconds. There's a lot of good information in there. Please stick around. Hey John, thanks for stopping by. So this is the fabled tissue paper everybody's been talking about. Making signs with tissue paper. Did you see that catch? Was that on camera? Just off of camera. I caught it though, honest. So the thing that was interesting with this so I thought to myself, every time I heard these people saying to themselves, well, you know, I heard that you can do tissue paper. And I thought to myself every time they said it, I was like, okay, so you stick a piece of tissue paper to a piece of paper, you throw it through your printer. How do you get the tissue paper back off of the paper? You know? Now, I'm a little thick in the head, and I was like having visions of somebody with the grindstone trying to grind off the back of the paper. And pretty typical for me is that I don't have the piece with me, but I had a piece of cardboard that was like this with no holes. Say it didn't have any holes. I put it on the paper and sprayed it with my craft glue so that all the stuff underneath the piece of cardboard didn't get any craft glue. So here we've got a piece of tissue paper. Scissors are nowhere to be found. Jeez. Got him. And now the last step to this kind of thing is to go like this. Now this isn't really straight tissue paper, and I'm only going to put it on a sample wall that I've got from, I bought a bunch of kits from somebody at a garage sale, and I just use them around. I practice some brick techniques. No, you won't get makeup on me, my friend. So, we got this, we got this. And now, because we don't have any spray glue underneath, we can just go like that. And everything's hunky-dory. Know what I'm talking about? So we've got this structure. This is an ITE or ITLA kit. This is the lion's head. This was an offcut. Where the laser, I don't know what happens. They get out of focus and they burn too much. So this had all the little zipper edges, and you know, they don't even make these kits with these zipper edges anymore. This piece is like really old. So we could put it over top of the windows. Something like that. And we could cut out the windows and Bob would be your uncle. I've got this old piece from Downtown Deco kit that I bought off of a modeler somewhere, but it's made out of resin. And I know that Randy doesn't make things out of resin, so I imagine this guy was making illegal copies. I'm a crook. I was just looking at the camera like it was looking at me, and I just turned around and noticed I'm a dummy. But anyways, I know Randy pretty well, and if you find somebody selling products like this, you should probably tell on them. I bought this just a couple of years ago in a box of things, and I kept it around to test brick techniques on it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. However, it's a great kit. If you want to buy one, Downtown Deco. Plaster kits. You never get, when you paint brick, plaster that is, or brick that is made out of plaster, and you paint that stuff, that the plaster really sucks in the paint and it gets chalky looking. Oh man, those look good when they're built right. You're just picking on me. Actually, tell you the truth, Billy, I tried to stream to the YouTube channel straight on, but I couldn't get the chat window to come up like this gray one that I got here. So that was the issue, and I just quickly made the pivot back to what worked last night. So that's what we're doing. 10 people on the stream. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's just do this. So I'm going to working on the fly here, I didn't even think of how I was going to stick this to the wall. But I imagine that what I should do, put this upside down, take my full strength. No. The boy's thinking. We're going to pull out this is wet water. It's wet water. All that is just straight water with a couple of drops of dishwater. Or dish soap. Dishwater. That's if you want it to be pukey. I'm a nut bar. So I'm going to put water down there. Wet water. I don't want normal water because normal water will bubble up. Now if you take normal water, put it in a spoon, you'll see it. You can tilt it over to the edge and it won't pile out. It looks like a big balloon, your waterbed kind of flipping over the edge. You put a little bit of soap in there though and tilt that spoon, it's going to pour right out on you. It's surface tension. So I'm going to take my bar and grill. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this, but I'm going to put a couple of drops of my scenic glue, which is 50-50 weld bond glue with water. You mix it up over a couple of days because it's a really thick substance, and it's not something that you can mix up and use 10 minutes later because, well, don't listen to me and you'll know what I'm talking about. And in this bottle I've got dish soap, but I'm going to start using glycerin for my flow aid for glue in future cases because I'm getting sick and tired of the bubbles coming when I don't want the bubbles. You hear me, yo? So we're going to put my finger on this. We're going to put a little bit onto the wall first. And as you can see, because of our wet water, the glue is just kind of spreading out. It's not sitting in sticky at all. So we got to make sure the sign goes the right way because that would be a stupid move. Now, first thing I notice is that we're getting staining on the wall from the ink. And that might be a problem. You know what? This doesn't have to be successful. The fact that I got the tissue paper on there already is a feat. And I'm thinking right now that I should have put a coat of dull coat before I got it wet. But then again, maybe the dull coat would have made it bleed. You never know what to do in these situations unless you test it and experiment. That wasn't even in the frickin' script. It's something I always say to you. Ron's always telling me to experiment. Yeah, this is bleeding. Oh well. You know what? I always talk about making mistakes on camera. Ridiculous. Oh well. Let's go to the video so I don't screw things up. Chat's still alive. Please still keep on chatting. So our next little technique is to make our own signs. Now every time somebody tells you, go and make it yourself, it really gives you the bad impression that they're trying to say, leave me alone. Except I'm trying to teach you something here. I'm not telling you to get away from me, make your own signs. I'm showing you how to do it. You can take my advice or you can leave it. First off, we got to get ourselves a graphics editing program, except we're not going to pay any money for it. Now, this is not a be-all, end-all graphics program. This is not the type of program that you can make laser cut images for your laser cutter. You can't really make files for your Cricut cutter. Those are called vector files, and these are called, oh, what the hell, I just had it, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll look it up later. There's a name for it, rest assured. GIMP is the program, which is kind of apropos because this GIMP can barely remember the words that were just on the tip of his tongue. And this GIMP program is absolutely free, and you can download it at gimp.org. Download it from the direct download button. If you know what BitTorrent is, go ahead and use that. It saves them some bandwidth. And they give away their products for free. And if you want to donate to anybody, other than me maybe, do it to GIMP because they give away a great program for absolutely free. And we're going to show you exactly how to use it. Now, before I already talked about downloading fonts, and I noticed my favorite font was not on my son's computer. Pacifico is a cursive type language that, you know, it kind of looks like signs by the beach, hand drawn by an artist. So we're going to download the Pacifico font from Squirrel Font. And that site is a reputable site that'll allow you to download TTF files direct. Sometimes they send you to stores and stuff like that. If they do that, try to find a similar font somewhere else, because usually there is. I like to use a font that has a bunch of body to it. I don't want to have nice slender letters because it's really hard for somebody to see in a small scale these small letters. And if you're using an inkjet printer, sometimes the lettering is really kind of light, and I've got myself an Epson Eco Tank so that we can print lots and lots of stuff. I've got 2 kids who are in school, and they like to print out a lot of stuff for their schoolwork so that they can look fancy. So I use an Eco Tank, and that has really big ink reservoirs and means that you can print like 1,000 pages of printing whatever they want, unicorns and pink tiger stripes, whatever they want, you know. So it's a good product. If that's, I'm not being sponsored by them, but I'm telling you it's a good product. The only thing better than an inkjet printer is a laser printer, and those are kind of expensive. Sure, you can get the printer for probably under $100, and it has a stifled, it's not an ink cartridge, but let's just call it an ink cartridge for the example I've got, because I'm a little gimpy, you can't remember the name. Those ink cartridges the words on the end of my tongue. Those cartridges are fairly expensive, and most of the time they're more expensive than the printer, kind of like the old inkjet printers. And so there's that. I digress. So we're going to go over to GIMP. We're going to start a new file, and we're going to make the size of our picture the exact size of the image that I measured that we're copying. 4 1/4 inches turns into 4.25 inches, and a ½ inch is 0.5 inch. It's fairly easy to do the decimal conversions. I'm a carpenter, so I'm kind of used to doing those transitions. Well, not a carpenter anymore. I hate the hard labor. No, I'm just kidding. But really, don't ask me to do your carpentry work. I really hate the hard labor. Just kidding. So we've got our artboard. It is 4 1/4 by ½ inch. So I'm going to color the background with the paint tool. I gotta find myself a couple of colors that kind of work together, and I like to grab my colors by using these slider wheels, and those kind of keep our colors so that they're in the same hue range. You know, sometimes a color is, you know, it matches another color because it's a pastel kind of finish, or this and that and the other thing. So using these sliders really allow you to stay within a range that works with each other. Get a couple of colors, a monochromatic range, or, you know, all that jazz. And then after the fact, I'm going to use one color for the background and use the paint bucket to paint it. Easy peasy. Then I'm going to add a new layer. And this layer is going to be a transparent layer. And when you pick a new layer, you right click on our layers list, pick new. It'll automatically pick transparent in my case. If it doesn't pick transparent in your case, click that box. It'll already have the dimensions of your artboard already inserted, or it should. Do that now. Next, I'm going to hit the text tool, and once I add my text to the document, it is going to add another layer. So there's going to be 3 layers. You're going to have the background layer, the transparent layer, and the text layer. I'm going to pick my Pacifico font. We're going to write it down. Then we're going to change the font size and try to fit the font into our background in the best way we can. Now I pick the color for it proper, because if you don't pick, it can't be the same color, otherwise it'll be invisible. Ask me how I know, or you just seen how I know. Now there's another couple of details that you could add to this photo to make it look a little bit better. You could go up to filters and add a drop shadow through shadows and, oh, I forget what, I don't have the program in front of me. Gimpy. Just call me Gimpy. It should be Gimpy's Hangout, Hoff. Ooh, don't you think? Anyways, now that I've got my text down there, I'm going to do something fancy. And, you know, I didn't really notice how small the document is. I'm usually used to working with documents that are about 2,000 pixels wide. And I already said this, what in the heck is the size of a pixel? I don't know what the heck the size of a pixel is. And obviously, they're pretty big. So, what we do is we want to find the we want to right click on our text. We want to click the button that says Alpha to Selection, and this will give you a dotted line around your letters. Now once that dotted line is set, we want to go up above to Select, and in the Select menu, the drop down menu, we want to pick Grow. Now when I do a photograph that is about 1920 pixels wide, I usually pick about 20 or 30 pixels to grow the border of my fonts. But this time I had to pick 0.002 something, I think. You know, my memory's crap. But this gives a little bit of a border around your text. And now we get to the point of why we added our transparent layer, because we're going to go back, we're going to pick the brush tool, we're going to give it a proper brush head that is solid, we're going to make the size of it big so it picks all the image, we're going to click on our transparent layer to make that active. Then we're going to paint the border of our fonts. Now if your text in the list of layers is below the transparent layer, you've just covered up all your text. But don't worry. Grab that layer and put it to the top of the list, your font layer to the top of the list, the transparent layer below that, and the background layer below that, and all your orders will be fine, and you will see that you just added something really fancy to your text. And doing it with a contrasting but like color will give it a nice touch, so it's much easier for the modeler to see or viewer to see. Now that's the way I print out my own custom made pictures. I usually don't do this because it's kind of fiddly. I'm gonna grab the airbrush here and muck up the back of the background a bit, because when is a sign ever done nicely like that? You know, they kind of come back with a spray paint can and give some depth, weather the sign a wee bit. So I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to try to figure out how to use my printer, which I don't do. I don't have any kids around right now, so I'm going to have to muck with this. But when we get that printed out, we'll be back at the desk and we'll talk to you a little bit more about signs. Here now, get the transitions right.
Earlier today,
Wow!
went about to
Get out of here.
make some.
I'll get that right someday. Now, while I was watching, well, you were watching the video. See you later, Sparky. While I was watching the video, I was using my little handy dandy heater here. I'm going to take this off the desk now to dry up our black sheet. Yeah, I'm a dummy. What are you going to say about it? I looked a whole bunch more friendly when the beard was here, didn't I? I got a scowl. There's nothing I can do with it. My daughter's got a scowl too. Wife used to complain about it until she saw the daughter's scowl. I was like, whoa, that one's bad too. Hello, Joelle. Thanks for stopping by. So, as you can see, we've got our sign. It bled like crazy and all the white disappeared. That wasn't part of the plan. But I used GIMP to make this sign too, and we're gonna figure out how to seal our inkjet printer. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to move to a LaserJet printer because this attempt sucked. So let's move on because we'll let this get behind us. We'll be back. I had one good idea about the tissue signs. So Walter, we're getting there. We're crossing new roads together. If there's an article out there about this stuff, specifically using an inkjet printer, maybe email me about it. I'll put my email in the chat for you. There you go. Just for you, my friends. Okay, so let's move on. This is our sign from Sparky. The fixed focus camera when I'm gonna realize that. So that's the way it stands, and you know what? I might actually use this sign on our bar and grill. I figured the yellow would look nice off of the green. That's why I picked the colors like that. Let's just do this for fun. Here. Hoff's Hangout. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Yeah, we got your photos, Joelle. So, Joelle the other day was shared some photos with me, and where did I put those? Well, I put them on. They're on my other computer, Joelle. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get back in action. Let's get this back on going. So, one thing I wanted to talk about here is we had well, I've been talking about Martin Welberg's products, and it's not entirely clear. Martin's really busy right now, and and there's a huge time change between Europe and Canada, so really couldn't get in touch. But it kind of looks like Martin Welberg's products are not at Scenery Express anymore. So that kind of sucks. So I thought to myself, I didn't think to myself. I'm lying to you again. Filthy liar. I'm just pulling up these links. I got to set up for what I want to show you. Okay. So we're going to move. We're going to go like this. We're going to go like this. And I'm going to change this to... No, that didn't work. Sorry, I'll get this real quick. This is kind of important to me. Come on, work for me here. Okay, we're gonna go rough and dirty. Rough and dirty. We're just gonna do the monitor. Dun 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 dun. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of you for a second, guys. So as you can see here, we've got a website template, and I'm thinking that maybe I should just start selling Martin Wahlberg's products. I've got the Modelers Guild name. I've got the Scratch Builders Guild name. You know, I really just don't use those names for anything. And, you know, I don't want to really start a magazine again. We tried that a long time ago, and it was kind of hacked, and it didn't make any money. It was a real drain on the bank account, to tell you the truth. But this might not, because I'd be able to sell Martin Wahlberg's products here in North America and make them available to you as a user. So what is the better looking website? In the chat, I realize that it's going to be a 4-minute delay between you seeing this to when you're going to say it. So let's look at website number 1, called the Daily Times. I would reconfigure this to be a website that shows YouTube videos, and I'll give access to a number of people to share YouTube videos on it. But I would also sell or drop ship my friends' kits and products. I don't think there really is a craftsman scenery and diorama website out there other than Scenery Express, and it's a big freaking ant, and they don't have Martin's products, and he's my buddy, and so it's an opportunity for us. So this is website number 2, and it's called Newsline. And I think I kind of like this one a little bit better. So once again, we've got website number 1, Daily Times. I guess the main is this. And these are both, they're both what's called responsive. So if I go like this, it should change size. Yeah. Oh, come on, you. See? Changes size. So if you're on a phone, it'll be totally different if you're on a phone. So this is how this one looks. So I don't know. This one's kind of good. It's got an events calendar and all that jazz. So you can put meetups and stuff like that. So give me a shout. Tell me in the chat, which one should I look into getting? And then I'll start studying to see how their support issues are, to see if there's any problems with the design. And I'll study the code itself through a couple of machines and see if they work. Get back over here. Put you back to where it was. So what do you think about that? Joelle is saying, so okay, so Joelle, she's trying to transfer a black and white print to wood. I wonder how you would do that. Could you stamp it? Or could you cut out the black portions and I don't know how you'd do that. You know what? Actually, I would probably take a card and maybe if you get some transfer paper, and then get a heavy card, and then what I would do is cut out your black portions and use the rest of the card as your mask. So your inside portions of your black, you would you'd be very careful with the lines so that it looks really nice, and then you can do a transfer like I did at the beginning of this episode. So if you go back to the beginning of the episode tonight in a few hours, or maybe it's live right after the fact, I don't know how that works, but if you kind of muck around with the ideas that I show with using the Cricut cutter, everything you can do with a Cricut cutter can be done with a razor blade, or one of these. So, you know, that would be a good way to transfer an image to wood. Yeah, water transfers, water slides are, I don't know, I kind of like the hand painting with masking and stuff like that. It gives you a more confident hand in your artistry. And, you know, if you get a nice outline on your mask, you can hand paint the insides of it and get nice texture because you're in there and you're not afraid to experiment. Maybe a nice thing for wood is to the color. Oh well, I'm not gonna muck around by saying everything. But you know, share some of your attempts, or tell me what you're comfortable with in email. You gave me an email yesterday. You can do it again there, Joelle. So you guys think daily times, huh? Oh, really? Okay. We'll look into it. If you are watching this video after the fact, please consider putting down in the comments below which website you like. Pause this video, go back, check it out a few times. I'm going to wait a couple of weeks before I get it. Then, you know, if you're interested in being a part of that website and getting your YouTube channels on there, we can talk about that. We'll trade some editing time for space on this website. How's that? I don't know. Sounds good to me. Okay, talk to you later, Billy. Thanks for stopping by. There you go. Good ideas all around. So, man, we only got an hour into the video. I thought those little things would have done us good. So, pull this out over here. We've got so this is a soft, this is kind of an abrasive pad. It's got a low grit. Oh, camera's not even, I don't even know where the camera's turning. Let's turn the camera where we need it. So, we've got an abrasive pad here. It's on a piece of foam. It's kind of cheap. It's a dollar store thing. I'm going to use that for sanding our signs. I'll probably do it on the back of this thing here like this. But let's go through the box of tricks and catch ourselves a sign that we want to use. We're going to put it on the brick wall here. Seeing as we screwed up, I was so stoked about getting the tissue thing done and getting it all out, and then it bled all over the place. Pretty typical. Woo! Look what I found. That's a Jordan truck. It looks like a Model T truck. Hot dog! I love looking in these old boxes because I never know what I'm gonna find. Like, probably about not 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, 2009, 2010, I bought my glass sides from where everybody else gets them. You see you get they what is it, Sierra Mountain Co. or I think his name is Dave Burrows, but you get the little tool for cutting your glass and the glass slides. But well, another thing that you can get from there is these super duper small beads and hydro pole kits. And of course the hydro poles are just dowels. I think I didn't get the hydro poles. I said forget about it. But you know, these little kits, they look really good, and these are the smallest beads you can get, and that's why people shop at Dave's shop, because he's a craftsman modeler. He knows where to get these things. How much is what? How long is this piece of string? Let's go through this little pile, try to find us a sign. Now, I should probably give somebody their due again. You should put your name on these cards because I forget where I got them. Here's a mask I made for the shipyard. Made that. I changed the name of the shipyard to Keller Shipyard. Here's some signs that I from a JL Innovative Supply Kit. Those are some really nice kits. I really want to remember where I got these from. Let me look on my thing. I don't want to say the wrong guy, but I don't know if it's him or not. Go to my email. It's surely in there. I love using Gmail because I put anything in the search line and it reminds me of everything. And in this episode, the one thing you've learned about me is I got a crap memory. So let's see. Decals. Sugar Moon decals. These are from Sugar Moon Decals. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Sugar Moon decals, and they are at the address is going in the chat right now. This is where you get these decals. So we're gonna put one of these down on this wall first. And Joelle, these are water slides. An interesting little interlude. So these are kind of like a Banksy ones, and these are like just basic graffiti. So I gotta get my Salva set, pull it out of the box. everybody should have some Solvaset, and everybody should remember where the heck they put it. So let's look in here. I don't know. I don't know where it is, so I'm going to use some other stuff that I think is the same things, but it's labeled differently. We're going to take this one, we're going to cut it off. So the trick with water slide decals is to cut them very close to, you got to cut as much paper around the decal as you can. So I guess, Joelle, we're gonna get your tutorial out. First thing, so we're gonna get tweezers. We're gonna get some water. Oh, here we go. We're gonna take some water out of here. Okay. Working on the fly here, girl. And then we're gonna take our scissors and cut, like I said, as close as we can to the decal without cutting any of the printed paper off. Now the reason why we're doing this is because the clear spots of the decal paper are still part of the decal, and when they go on the wall, you still see those edges. And if the edges are too big, it's gonna be really, really noticeable. So I like to cut it off as close as I can around the outside, and even though you're still going to see the edges a little bit, the little bit that we have to hide with weathering or what have you, is going to be easier to hide than if we had a whole bunch of it. That's my theory anyways. We got one more piece here. Cut up close to the guy. Now I recognize that there are 100 people out there that do a lot more work with decals, and they'd probably not do this or would do something different than me. But this is the way I've been doing it for a while now. So that's just the way it is. So here we go. We're going to find a spot on this that we can grab it nicely and have none of the pieces break off. And that means that I don't want to grab on this thin, short area on the bottom. I want to grab it on the top so that we really try not to rip the smaller edges or these corners off and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it on this little piece beside this guy's head. I'm going to drop it right in the water. And I like to wait till it curls right up. Doing this is really a two-step process where you soak the paper, you get the little slider to slide off, and then after it's kind of dried off a little bit, then you put on a solvent that melts it into the cracks of the bricks or that. And you know what? I already have one big screw up today, and what I'm about to do now might be another one. But that's only because I can't find my solve set. And in the act of expediency, we're going to figure out if this guy knows anything at all. Probably not. He's probably going to fail. So, just kind of move my fingers a little bit and see if it's ready to go. Leave it in the water for another couple of seconds. So if you got any questions, looks like there's 20 of you here. If you got any questions, please put your question in the chat. I'd be happy to answer it for you. Sign companies, the JL Innovative Supply has a number of signed pieces of paper. I like to take my signs and sand them down on this thing, this scouring pad or abrasive pad. Oh, I dropped it. So in a couple of weeks, I got a interview. Hey, Mr. Reese, thanks for stopping by. Mr. Reese is the technical partner we had in our SketchUp program a few years ago, and we might actually finish that project now that we got our hands on a. Wow, this stuff must be old. It's taking a while. Where's your questions? Huh? Oh, come on. I'm going to put you to work. So I've got an interview with a guy in 2 weeks. It means we're going to have the video come out maybe in 3 or 4 weeks. In June, we're going to be working on the Old Bay District. We're going to be pounding away at it. The board's right there. We're going to be starting from scratch. There ain't nothing built except for a couple of buildings and a Ferris wheel. So we're going to get that together. And lots of content coming down the pike. So if you're interested in this kind of content, if you're interested in watching Mr. Reese show his architectural expertise, he's a bona fide architect, you know. Share with us how to make 3D printed structures, especially if you have that one-off building that is a historical structure. Nobody's going to make a kit for you if it's only going to sell one to you. So, wonder what the hell's the crap's going on with this water slide, man. I know they've been sitting in the box for 2 years, but come on. Woo! We did it. I'm just squeezing around. It got loose on me. Okay. So now we got our water slide loose. I'm going to find my little corner by the guy's head, like I mentioned. And then we're going to put this at the bottom of the wall like some punk sprayed it on the wall. What a kid. All right. Okay. Now I'm just going to use my tweezers. Make sure everything's sitting flat. And this is the moment of truth. Let's do it. If I'm going to screw up again this episode, it's going to be on camera. That's way out of focus, I think. That's way out of focus too. Sorry, guys. Whoa. My auto camera screwed up. It's broken. And this one's definitely not auto. Sorry. That kind of looks good. Okay. So we're going to take this stuff that's kind of like styrene glue. Is it going to work? Kind of looks like it is. What you're supposed to use with this is Solvaset. Yes, I've got Solvaset. Okay, we're melting. So I'm just going to leave this as it is. It's going to go right into the product. If you've got a color decal, don't do what I just did. I only did that for the purposes of this video so that I didn't sit here looking for Solvaset for an hour and a half. However, if you got a real close-up shot of this, it's really sticking into the brick grooves now. All except for this spot. We'll just drop a little on and leave it there because it seems to be the thing that works with it. Okay, let's leave it. So there's it. And then tomorrow, I'll look at it and see if it's curling up all around the edges. It probably won't be because I just melted the bugger onto the wood. However, if it's nice and flat still, then I'll take this and I'll do a clear coat over the whole wall. I'll cover the edges up and make everything look nice. So maybe we will show this in another day. But that looks fairly good, don't you think? Now, I think we're getting close to the end of our show. Let's open this up and try to do one of these. I said I'd do one. I'll do one. And after we're done this, we'll close up shop for the night. And I'll go ask the wife who got kicked off of Survivor. What are we going to pick here? You know what? You're never ever going to see me advertise cigarettes on a model. I'll never ever advertise cigarette smoking on a model ever. Only by accident or if I'm told to by a customer will I ever do it. Let's do this one. So once again, we're going to cut it out of the sheet. Now these ones are paper signs that you purchase from JL Innovative Supply. And JL Innovative Supply is a kit company that is kind of... It can be classified as in between a craftsman kit company and a plastic kit company. And you know what that means? That means that most of their kits are very, very cost effective. However, some of the parts are really old school types of parts. I'll lick my finger here. Whoop! We just weathered the front of that one. It looks good, honest to God. Lick your fingers and start rubbing back and forth. And what we want to do is thin down the paper a little bit. Do the old lick and stick on your fingers and rub away and hope to heck that you stop before you go right through it. Now, the reason why we do this is because paper's super thick. And what you want to do is you actually really want to rub off as much as you can around the edges. Around the middle really doesn't matter. But what you want to do is the edges are the tell about how thick the paper is. And if you've got the edges as thin as you can, and they're kind of starting to look a little wavy gravy, then your sign, even if it is full thickness right in the middle, your sign looks pretty realistic. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. You can muck around on it if you want. So this, I should be using full strength, but I'm just going to use my scenic glue. Now, once again, anytime you use scenic glue, you want to put down your wet water so that there's no surface tension and that all the glue wants to sink right into the wood. So I'm just going to do a small section right here. Rub it in because we don't want to get it onto our decal, do we? And also, you never ever really want to pound wood with water. Doing a little bit like this really won't do much to wreck your wood. However, if you put a whole bunch of water, I guarantee you will wreck your wood. There we go. There's our sign. I'm going to put a little bit more glue on it. And because we put our wet water down, the glue's still going to find its way underneath the sign and glue the system. That's why we put these down together. Now it's really penetrating the wood here, but don't worry about it. We're not penetrating the entire thing. It's not going to go through the entire board. It's just a little bit. So here's our last sign, toot. Hope you liked it, Walter. I hope I got to everything that you could ever want to know about sign making signs. Maybe if we do this again, it can be advanced sign making. And that advanced sign making would include a tissue paper transfer to a building with no bleeding. We'll have to go try that out. So already, I wish I could show you really close up. Maybe next month, I'll try to get myself a camera. There's a lot of things that we want to try to get. And a nice camera that would focus up real fast for close-up views like that costs a bit of money, right? So the way I do that is by patreon.com/Ron Pare. And as you can see below, Mr. Bridges contributed. Now that was a one-off payment to just because he didn't want to join the Patreon. And if you're not a Patreon kind of guy, look down in the comments in the description below, and there's access to do that. You'll be put on the list. You'll be we'll put you down at the bottom of the screen as our latest supporter, and we'll thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And the videos will be improved because of it. Now, like I said before, I'm not here to talk about things that I have no clue about. These are things that, well, sure, the sign, the tissue paper sign is kind of an experiment in action. But, you know, this Craftsman kit thing is something that I know a little bit about. And over the next few months, you're going to see some happening stuff. I've gotten in contact with some of the most, you know what? The whole world of model railroading might think, who are these people? But you know, I have a habit of finding people who are extremely interesting, extremely talented, providing the hobby with like views of amazing things. And sometimes those guys are the teachers of our lifetime. I gotta be careful of what I say. But things are happening, man. Next month we're gonna have the OBD2 project, and we're pretty much have everything we need to get that project started. Hopefully, if we get enough patrons, maybe we can buy a camera too, so that we can start doing this a little bit better with a nicer camera. I want to thank you for watching tonight. And I'm going to thank you for watching tonight, and I'm going to put my hand up like this so I know when to turn off the stream. Thanks you, my friends. Maybe I should start doing this. Give you a nice fist pump. And then we can talk to you later. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow. Let's see how many subscribers I lose tonight. Maybe I'll have to take a break. If you got any comments of segments that you want to see, feel free to do so. Thanks for watching, my friends. It's been a treat.